Welcome to another story made by Oracle One. Beneath the heart of New York City, beneath its chaos, its roar, and its endless streams of lives flowing through arteries of steel and concrete, lay a secret that even the city itself seemed reluctant to acknowledge. Not far from the bustling Times Square station, forgotten by all but a few desperate trespassers and daring urban explorers, was an abandoned subway tunnel known only by a handful as the Echo Line. It was a tunnel that no map marked, no commuter spoke of, a dark vein buried beneath the city's lifeblood. Legend had it that a strange melody played in that tunnel, a tune unlike any other, a song that seemed unmoored from time, floating eerily through the stale air. More unsettling was the effect it left in its wake. Total blackouts that plunged neighborhoods into pitch darkness, cutting off power without warning, sparking panic and speculation. No one knew why, and authorities dismissed the tales as coincidence or mass hysteria. But for journalist Evelyn Chase, the melody was a hook too intriguing to ignore. Evelyn was tenacious, an investigative reporter for a small but reputable New York magazine named Spectrum. She had uncovered more than her share of corporate malfeasance and political scandals, but this was something different. When a powerless subway train unexpectedly stopped near Times Square one evening, passengers reporting hearing a haunting lullaby just before the lights cut out, Evelyn's curiosity ignited a fire within her. Her first stop was the underground. She had permission only for the active lines and stations, but the Echo Line was sealed off by heavy steel barred doors and official signage warning of danger. Locals whispered about the song, and Evelyn collected their fragmented stories. The melody first heard in the early hours, faint at first, then swelling until the world plunged into darkness. With each blackout, the city grumbled and fretted. The police connected no dots, the electric company found no pattern. The melody was an enigma, and Evelyn was determined to solve it. She spent several days scouring archives, old blueprints of the subway system, and speaking with transit workers who had long since retired. It was during this exhaustive search that she discovered a little-known event from decades past. In 1945, the Echo Line had been closed abruptly after a catastrophic accident had occurred deep within its caverns. 6 workers had vanished without any trace. Official reports blamed a structural collapse, but speculation whispered about something else, something unusual about that section of the tunnel. One retired transit engineer, Marcus Lang, now in his late 70s, was the first to share a crucial piece. He told Evelyn about the last days before the Echo Line's closure. There was a project, Marcus said quietly in a dimly lit cafe. They were doing something unusual in that tunnel. Testing some kind of experimental sound frequency equipment, sound wave technology for communication. But something went wrong. I remember hearing stories about vibrations that, well, they claimed was supposed to be safe but turned out to be unstable. Evelyn's research led her to an obscure patent filed by a company called Soundwave Dynamics, which specialized in acoustic technology for underground communication, supposedly to replace radio signals weakened by the steel and concrete. The patent described a device capable of transmitting sound waves that could also affect electromagnetic fields. It sounded fantastical, but could it have caused the blackouts? Now more intrigued than ever, Evelyn began plotting how to access the Echo Line itself, knowing she would have to defy warnings to investigate in person. She sought out the necessary contacts, urban explorers, former workers, people with keys or codes. After several failures, she connected with a man named Felix, a graffiti artist and tunnel dweller who sold her copies of the decommissioned blueprints and agreed to accompany her inside. One night, under the cover of darkness, Evelyn and Felix approached a service hatch near the Times Square station. Climbing down a rusty ladder, they entered the shadowed levels below the active lines. The air was thick with dust and damp, the silence heavier than it should have been, broken only by distant drips of water and the occasional stationary rat scurrying along rails. The walls bore remnants of old advertisements, faded images of a city that no longer existed. Their flashlights barely pierced the gloom as they followed the archaic signs leading to the Echo line. Felix's knowledge of the tunnels kept them from losing their way. Eventually, they reached a set of steel doors marked with a warning: "Authorized personnel only, hazard zone." Felix worked quickly to disable the outdated locks, and as the doors creaked open, a cold gust of air swept past them. An unnatural chill so sudden it made Evelyn's hairs stand on end. Inside, the corridor stretched ahead, its tiled walls cracked and yellowed, wires hanging loose from broken panels. Then, faintly, the melody began. At first, it was barely audible, a soft, plaintive tune played on a piano, distant yet clear. It was a haunting sequence of notes, melancholic and strangely mesmerizing, echoing down the tunnel's length. Evelyn felt a strange pull, a wave of nostalgia mingled with dread. Her skin prickled, and she could swear the air vibrated with a gentle hum. The melody grew slightly louder as they moved forward, reverberating against the concrete walls. Felix shivered. "I've never heard anything like this," he whispered. "Some people say it's a ghost song. Others think it's just the wind." But Evelyn knew better. This was no natural sound. They ventured deeper until they reached an old chamber, once a control room, that housed a rusted machine. Its dials were frozen, its casing worn by time and neglect. But there, resting atop it, was a weathered gramophone. As they stepped closer, the melody intensified. Suddenly, the lights in the tunnel flickered and then died entirely. They were plunged into complete darkness. Evelyn's heart hammered in her chest as she found herself fumbling for her flashlight, which had died at the same moment. The melody continued, now unmistakably alive, threading through the void. The temperature dropped further. A strange static sizzled in the air, and Evelyn realized the blackout was not just in their immediate vicinity. The energy grid feeding this part of the city was faltering. She frantically tapped her phone in the darkness, but there was no signal. "It's the song," Felix gasped, gripping her arm. "It's causing the blackout." Suddenly, the tune shifted. The notes dropped, twisting into an unsettling minor key. The melody seemed to gain agency, filling the chamber with spectral resonance. Evelyn's bones felt cold, and she suspected what she felt was more than her imagination. She remembered the patent's mention of the sound waves influencing electromagnetic fields and realized the melody was not just a song. It was a signal, an electromagnetic emitter that interfered with the city's power. And worse, was it conscious? Was the song alive in some sense? With her breath shallow, Evelyn gritted her teeth and took out her portable recorder, determined to capture the melody. The moment she started it, the tune warped again, and the air rippled with electric discharge. The power returned suddenly, and their deactivated flashlight buzzed back to life. Evelyn blinked against the sudden brightness. The chamber was exactly the same, but the tune had vanished. Breathing heavily, Evelyn and Felix exited the Echo line and returned to surface level, but the blackout they had caused continued to ripple across neighboring boroughs. News reports flooded in of clustered outages, hospital alarms blaring, and mass confusion. Evelyn felt the weight of her discovery dawn on her. The melody was a ticking time bomb, capable of plunging entire cities into darkness. She sent her recorder to Spectral sound technician, hoping to analyze the frequencies behind the song. But weeks passed with no conclusive answer. Then, strange things began to happen. Colleagues reported hearing faint music when passing subway entrances, the same eerie lullaby tinkling in the background of their lives. Smartphones died inexplicably during calls. Streets went suddenly dark, and yet no storms or malfunctions explained the outages. Evelyn's editors warned her to drop the story. Powers that be wanted it buried, dismissed it as urban myth. But Evelyn persisted. Something in the melody's construction hinted at an intelligence behind it, something born of the mysterious accident in 1945. She returned to Marcus Lang, hoping his memories might shed light on a last piece of the puzzle. Marcus, with trembling hands and fogged eyes, revealed what he had kept secret for decades. The workers lost in the collapse had been performing unauthorized experiments with the sound technology. They had attempted to send a transmission through the tunnel, to talk with unknown entities beneath the city. They never came back because whatever answered back was not human. The device, Marcus said, voice cracking, created a resonance. Something alive in that sound wave. A creature made of frequencies, or a message from below, nobody ever understood. But it's been waiting, waking up each time the melody plays. Evelyn processed this chilling revelation. The melody was more than a song. It was a signal, a conduit for something ancient and alien, dwelling beneath the city's foundations, using sound to manipulate electronics, to breach into the world above. With every blackout, it pushed further, seeking containment, release, or perhaps, to be heard. Determined to stop the accidental broadcasts, Evelyn and Felix returned to the Echo Line one last time. This time, they brought equipment to jam the frequencies, high-powered sound modulators designed to disrupt the resonance. Back inside the chamber, the melody began anew, haunting and seductive. Evelyn switched on the modulators, sending opposing frequencies that battled against the song's waves. The tunnel shuddered, the walls vibrated, dust cascaded from the ceiling, and a low, guttural hum filled the air. The melody turned frantic, dissonant, as if struggling to survive. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light swept through the tunnel, and Evelyn felt herself lifted momentarily as if caught by impossible forces. She clung to Felix, her pulse racing. And then, silence. The melody vanished. The hum stopped. Darkness receded. The blackout lifted. They made their way out, breathless and shaken, stepping into the light of dawn. The city around them was alive again, its heartbeat steady. The terrifying song, their ghostly antagonist in the depths beneath the city, was stilled, for now. But as Evelyn looked back to the dark tunnel entrance, an unsettling thought gnawed at her. Had they truly silenced the melody? Or had they merely awoken something that would one day sing again? For more stories, like and subscribe.